So, hello. Welcome to the Confidence and Courage discussion with
Alisha
and Micaela.
Yes. Thanks for joining us.
So, we just wanted to come together to give something that is real and raw for Women's History Month, right?
Yeah.
So, we're all about giving back, talking to our women out there who maybe have lost their voice, maybe they need some encouragement, some mental health strategies or anything like that to just kind of help guide them on their life's journey, basically. So, first we're going to get into it and talk a little bit about our individual businesses and how we came together. So, we're going to start with Alisha with Stay in the Game LLC.
Thank you so much, Micaela. So for those who don't know me, my name is Alisha Lassiter. I'm a licensed clinical social worker associate. Yes, that is a complete mouthful. I have a business called Stay in the Game LLC, where we cater to athletes and their families in the community. My goal and my desire, in addition to helping athletes, is to be able to highlight women, not just for Women's History Month, but also for the trailblazers that we have been since the beginning. So, we know that life can be busy and unpredictable yet rewarding, but sometimes we all need help in navigating our mental health. It doesn't have to be something that we look at like a cloud is hanging over us, but rather something that we can use to empower ourselves and others.
I love that. You know, as we were just kind of trying to come up with a name for this thing that we're coming together on, we came with these shirts. So, hey, we were making bold moves, right? With Alisha and Micaela. You know, that's where we are. So, if you see these shirts, that's what we're going to do. We're making sure that we're catering to women, and not just women, because sometimes it might be, teenagers, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Anybody that needs assistance in any of these areas, we're trying to make sure that we help guide them in the right way. So,
we want to develop leaders.
Yeah. Ultimately, that's what it is. Yes, absolutely. I guess a little bit about my company. So, Micaela Morris LLC is a consulting firm, basically. So we provide women, especially women in leadership, with voice discovery, mindset transformations. Sometimes just consulting on your actual business. Say, for instance, you need something in strategic planning. Trying to get your business on the right foot, So assisting in those areas, and then sometimes you might need somebody that is motivational or inspirational to come to your school or your organization, and just try to really put some fire under some people's feet, to get them working and change their mindset. So I also do some of those things. So, yep. Just want to talk a little bit, a little bit about that. I can go on and on, but hey, look me up. MicaelaMorris.com, okay? All right. So let's get into this. I think more than anything, coming together with this bold moves thing, I think looking at the month, or Women's International Month, is it's all about just finding our place in the world. It's all about understanding where we are, where the future is, where we're trying to go to, all of that at the same time. So when you're thinking about Women's History Month, what stands out to you as far as for, women?
First of all, it just brings a smile over my face because none of us will be here without some woman in your life. That special mom. Women's History Month has meant so much because it really highlights women's sports. Again, my business caters to athletes. But also impacts the community. So it highlights women's sports. It highlights the women as the backbone of the family. Single mothers. You have grandmothers that are, raising second, third generational children. You have the impact in the community. You have us. You have our seniors. That paved the way for us. So we definitely want to make sure that we highlight those who just deserve, our love and attention.
Absolutely. I think when you're supporting women, it's putting some action behind the words of just, hey, I'm going to be there for that person, instead of just saying that. You actually show up. So those action things, those words, and actually being there for that person says a lot. And especially in today's economy, society, however you want to call it, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of women in leadership, and whether you're in leadership or not, shirking back for whatever reason, because of how the world is going right now, people getting laid off from different jobs, all of that right now as well. So there's a lot of reasons for us to come together today and talk about how we can make bold moves in life. Mentally, and also emotionally and spiritually,
yes,
as well. Holistically, yeah. So let's get into it some more. What you got on your agenda, Alisha? What are we talking about?
Yo, she just put me on the spot. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, first, let's talk about how women break barriers. One of the ways that I recognize how women break barriers is that people think that we're just now coming into the scene, but really we've been here all along. And yes, it is with sports, but it could be our teens, as Mika mentioned before. It could be our single mothers that are teens. I believe that they're breaking barriers because they may be the first person in their family to even go to college and maybe be a single mother. When I think of in terms of mental health, I'm thinking the internal fortitude that you need to keep pushing forward no matter what your situation or circumstance is. Even if we haven't made the best choices, you can still develop that confidence and that courage to move forward, which is what we're here for, those bold moves. Nobody just arrives where they are just all of a sudden. Everybody has to, either you've had someone to help you or you're that person to help someone else.
Yes.
Okay? So leading by breaking barriers, I would say, for me, it does not look like what's common. It's very uncommon.
Yeah, I can understand that. Walking in the uncommon, and I would say that, I guess, a little story about myself.
Story.
Yes. But no, that's how, as my pastor always says, that's how we can get you on the porch.
Yeah.
So you can understand it's real, it's relevant, you know. So coming through, being a woman, a Black woman in leadership, I have come through the ranks where I was in predominantly, male, white, industries or whatnot. And is that okay? Yes, it's okay. Yes, it is. But sometimes in those spaces, you have to fight for yourself, fight for what you're worth, fight for having your voice, all of that. And so as I matriculated through this industry, I found myself, well, if you really know me, you'll say, Mika, what's going on as far as, losing your voice and all of that as you were going through operations and all of that as a leader? Because that's not me, and at some point I did. I went into those boardrooms. I went into different spaces where I was at the table, this proverbial table that we're always talking about. It's funny because we're at actual table, in the boardroom at the table right now. Right. So, and I found myself sitting in those seats, and a discussion would come up, and I would try to, say something and put myself in it, but I don't think, I was bold enough, for certain discussions that we had. And that was my fault. But at the same time, with knowing that it is your fault, you have to figure out, okay, well, what steps can you take to pull you out of that? And so that's what I did. I did a reflection and self-assessment of myself, my strengths, my weaknesses, and it's often needed. So that's what I did. I wrote it down. Nope, I just didn't think about it. I wrote it down because I was able to see what I really needed to work on, to see, what I'm excelling in, all of that. So I did that, and I found out, wow, I just need to advocate for myself. I need to, when I have something that I know that I have expertise in, the certain skill, knowledge, whatnot, just bring it forth in more of a bold way, then then I'll do well, right? So that's what I did. In a nutshell, I took those steps, put some strategies together, decided to make some affirmations that I said every morning in the mirror before I even got to work. I ended up writing a book about it as well. And
Not just one.
not just one, but two deliberate voices. So decided to do that, and it's been going really well. And this month especially, I'm trying to push things a little bit more because I see it again. Everybody, not everybody, but some women really kind of shrinking back in certain areas. And so I want to take this time to just show you or tell you the different things that you can do to help you get to that next level in your life. Okay?
Yeah, and so Mika, with that Women's History Month, like she said, she's gonna pretty much push the envelope. And so what we want for ourselves and for other people is not to just look at Women's History Month as a month, but it's your lifestyle. It's the way you flow. Absolutely. And I appreciate Mika for sharing her moments of, the moments that may not have been as popular, for the moments of vulnerability that she shared. Mm-hmm. And I want to mention that in the moment where she felt that she lost her voice, which who can imagine that? For those of y'all who know Mika, what voice? I mean, how's she gonna lose her? She's surprised with that, but okay. Maybe that's why she lost it. No, okay. A little humor. People can find themselves stuck, and it messes with your mental health. And then for a lot of us, depending on the community or the environment you grew up in, it's like, what is mental health? Your mental health and mental wellness, the way you think about yourself, the way you feel about yourself, your perspective on life, your perspective on people. But before you start looking outside, I want to encourage you guys to look on the inside, meaning that reflection she was talking about, the assessment, the introspection. How do you feel about yourself? Is your opinion of yourself based upon someone else's perspective of you? Mm-hmm. Or an event that happened to you that was outside of your control? Because also what was happening to Mika was outside of her control, but she still ended up taking ownership and her power back and making the bold move internally to do the assessments, to go ahead and reflect. That takes a lot of internal motivation. Yes, some of us have those, that we can trust our support system, but when it comes down to it, that really keeps us, encouraged, especially those who you feel you can confide in. But you're left with yourself and your thoughts, after conversations have ended, and so we want you to be able to navigate through that and pull on the right resources or whatnot. I am one of those resources. So it's Micaela, and then we have a whole other slew of people that we can introduce you to. And so I don't want people to shirk back when it comes to their mental health. I didn't grow up in a household where we talked about it. We didn't avoid it. It just never came up, and so I'm just grateful to be in a field where I can celebrate athletes for their, playing in their respective sport, but mainly to be able to celebrate them as an individual, because that's who I care about. Yeah, they entertain me, and I would love to meet them. Yeah. But if they're not functioning at their optimum capacity off of the field or the court, then I'm not happy. I'm actually hurting. And so are they. They just don't know possibly who they can trust or who to reach out to. Or maybe they carry the burden or the shame of the family. Yeah. There's no need. We got you. That's how we help you stand again. All right. Yeah. I love it.
This girl, like she's a newscaster. What the world?
Stop.
What the world?
Okay, let's keep this thing going.
Okay, so
we want to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
We want to know what you're thinking. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat.
Put it down in the chat. We want to know, what are some of the things that you've been dealing with where, you just feel like, I'm tired of this. If I had this action put into place, I know I'll be better here, or this strategy put in place, or maybe if I got in touch with a therapist, maybe I'd be a lot better in this area, I think it's more, with therapy, it's more about the mental, right?
Right. It's about everything, but definitely the mental. But even if you don't know what you need, come.
Yeah.
None of us, at some point, all of us rather, all of us probably have reached the point where we just didn't know what we need.
Yeah. You know what? And I have some girlfriends that go to therapists, and what I found out is once we try to find a therapist and they do not work out for us, what we tend to do is say, okay, well, that didn't work. So.
Jamie Foxx. You know.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Yes, it just tend to stop. And for what reason? If one, the reason you put forth some action into trying to find somebody is because you knew there's an issue, there's a problem, there's something somewhere, right? So why are you going to stop that fluid action of getting some help? So I suggest, because I know there's a lot of you out there that are dealing with some of the same things. You done been to maybe 2, 3, and 4 therapists, and they're just not working out.
Right.
I suggest that you just keep trying.
Right.
There, for my beautiful Black queens, there are a lot of Black therapists out there as well. I do not know all the websites, but I'm quite sure some of you all do. So if you do have a therapist that is working out for you, please put it down in the chat. Please put the websites down in the chat. This is all about helping each other out.
Right.
Sometimes we try to figure out what are those resources. We don't know. When we get together like this, 2 businesses coming together, we're able to what?
To share that.
We're able to share that information. We're able
bring unity.
Right, and bring unity to all of this and find those resources. So I think if we just start collaborating more, start sharing those things, then we'll be better off.
And think about it like this, I also had to grow to this point. Every therapist should have a therapist.
Absolutely.
And, it should be outside of your friends.
Absolutely.
You have different types of friends. Those who that can handle certain things, those who that will just listen. But then it doesn't matter who your friend is, everybody needs someone to talk to. And again, that wasn't always my mindset, because it's not just about talking. You want to see yourself move from that place and move forward in life. We're moving forward together. That's the thing.
Yep.
So I'm just grateful to be here, to be able to kind of shed a little light on that. And then maybe think of therapy in terms of this. You may go to a primary physician. It may not be the best fit for you. Maybe you feel rushed. Maybe they take too long to talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like, you need to go to someone else. You advocate for yourself, hopefully, and speak up. Likewise, with a therapist, you're not always that first person you meet is not going to be the best fit. It would not be one therapist for billions of people in the world. It'll be complete burnout.
Yeah.
So give yourself the grace to keep looking. BetterHelp.com, Stay in the Game LLC, Psychology Today. If you're struggling and having a crisis, in that moment, 988, But I don't want people to have a cloud following them, or at least feeling like, let's go with that, feeling like they have a cloud following them day after day. We go through a lot of different traumatic experiences, whether it be with jobs. Everything's not financial.
Right.
Some things all our natural needs are met. Relationships as well. We just feel pretty hollow within. And that's something worth exploring.
Absolutely.
For my athletes and for the general population.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, man, I think you all got some golden nuggets there for Stay in the Game LLC.
Yeah.
From Alisha Lassiter. I think not just in mental, what are we doing now? Right now we're seeing, the government laying off a lot of people. I guess not the government, but we're seeing the administration overall, just laying off a bunch of different people, and people are going without, having jobs, having careers. Some of them been there for maybe, I don't know how many years, some that was just on probation let go for whatever reason. So one part that I know that I deal with careers is helping you understand, your brag sheet. That's what I call it. The brag sheet.
Tell us about this brag sheet.
Yeah. So on your brag sheet, separate from your resume, it is all the different things that you have overcome, obstacles, all of that stuff in your work environment, in your professional career, right? And so starting out from whatever job, who knows? Let's say you are a custodian, right? So you were a custodian, then all of a sudden somebody approached you and they stated, hey, I think you would be good as a supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
I see you're taking this initiative here and getting these things done. You're very proactive. And so then they promote you to supervisor. Okay, so that's a win, right? All right, put that on the brag sheet. You got a win. You possibly got a raise or something like that. Put that up there, all the different things that you did to get to that point. All right, you're now a supervisor. Somebody else comes to you a year later and say, hey, I think you would be, a great manager. Okay, so you work yourself up to a manager level, right? And now you're over, other custodians and other supervisors, all of that as well. So it took you some time to get up to the manager position. Basically, what I'm trying to say is,
bring it home for us.
Yes. What I'm trying to say is, whatever that you acquire, all of those rewards, or for some people, you get little trophies and gift cards and all those things because you implemented something, because you took charge in a certain area, you finished a project. All of those count. And so when you put that on your brag sheet, you're able to look at that and say, shoot, I did a whole lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I can use this, transfer it, put it on my resume.
Ooh.
To highlight and show, that I'm able to do these things. Now, if you need the correct wording and how to transfer it and make it sound good, I'm also here to help you with that piece too. Mm-hmm. So you just send me an email, micaelamorrisllc@gmail.com. So you just send that to me and we'll go from there. Easy, can help you out. We'll talk a little bit more about your brag sheet. That's when you just like, I did this. Hey,
I want y'all to know I'm taking mental notes. She has never mentioned a brag sheet to me. But I just want to say, friend.
You have to.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first, with the second book, the Deliberate Voices book or whatnot, and I had this Amazon bestseller book, I put that right on my brag sheet just as quick as I don't know what.
I will
and did. And so now when to certain jobs, when I'm applying to different things, and you got to know what to put up there on your resume as well, I would put that up there depending on what the job entailed and what they were looking for. So definitely, if you want to know how to even formulate the brag sheet, reach out to me and we'll go from there. So careers is a big thing.
Yeah.
Alisha, tell me, how did you even get into therapy? How did that come about?
Short story. Yes, there's a story. Just basically, great job, Mika. No, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
They're more than nuggets. You just created a whole bridge for people to be able to put together how they can navigate to their next step and who they can connect with. So thank you for that. How did I get into therapy? Well, I realized that I probably have been a therapist all my life just by being the kind of person and friend that I am. Mm-hmm. Therapy was never on my list. Matter of fact, I taught art, middle school art. And hey, I love the kids and everything like that. But I also knew I was not that 30-year teacher. I was just like, I remember one day I was just like, what am I gonna do for the rest of my life? Not that life wasn't great and wasn't a blessing. It definitely was. I'm just like, I don't know. And I've always been a lover of sports. I played different sports. It's in my DNA. I light up, when somebody mentions basketball. So I'm like, how can I couple basketball or sports in general with helping people? And so then I just began to take bold steps and ask people. As much as I enjoy talking, in certain environments, it was bold of me to be able to go and kind of inquire, asking about what field, is the best field to go in. Is it psychology? Is it social work? How does social work fit with this?
Mm-hmm.
You come from a small town or just any town, all you know about social work is what? You think social workers take people's kids, while that may be one aspect.
Yeah.
Oh God, social workers, social work rather is so broad, and so it led me down the path that I'm on now, and so I'm just very grateful and continuing to find my way, like continually to evolve, and I love that. And it'll keep you humble. And that's actually what you want. You want to have a heart for people. Yes, you want to get paid your worth, and your values already set. You just have to already, know that. Because as thirsty and as hungry as you are to do better and do greater, other people are out there with different intentions, though.
Yeah.
Their motivating factors may not be the same as yours. And that's also why therapy can be very helpful. It's not something to say, oh, something's wrong with you. It's not about being right or wrong. It's just about evolving in life and being the best individual you can be. Okay, and that's not a commercial. That's just real.
Mm-hmm.
It's real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I do have another short story of just a time that I felt like maybe I lacked confidence or whatnot. I would say when I was pursuing my master's, if I go after something, I'm not really the kind of person that stays hung up on, ooh, I got this, I'm like, okay, yeah, it happened. Let's move on. What's next?
Mm-hmm.
And so just going after my master, I'm like, should I do it? Oh my God, I'm gonna be in school for so long, but as my pastor says, you keep living, time's gonna pass you by, you might as well go ahead to school. And so did that, and I'm thankful graduated with that. But I had to know that I could do it, and it wasn't completed. It's not something that has to be done in a week.
Mm-hmm.
You take time.
Yeah.
And you use resources. You take bold steps. You ask people, if you need a study partner, the right study partner. And then if you don't know how to study, you got to be okay with knowing it, because that's a thing. You think you study killing the game out here, and you just you're like, oh Lord. So I just obtaining my master's was great.
Yeah.
And it put me in a position I would say that I'm in now. And no, you don't have to have a degree to be extremely successful. But my whole thing was, I didn't know that I wanted to go to college. I changed my major 3 times. So I am very grateful for the people that advocated on my behalf.
Yeah.
And, became a leader and example for me.
Wow.
Yeah. Y'all need your tissue. You got your tissue.
I tell you, man. Talking about bold moves again. Jeez, like you gave us so much there with all of that. I think, a lot of that I would say never giving up, staying focused, our perseverance.
And it's a battle within, it's a mental battle. A lot of thoughts you may not even share with anybody, but you have to know the only alternative is to move forward.
Yeah.
Like I want you to be convinced of that. And why is that? Because you're given this life, and not everybody has been seemingly dealt the best hand, but most of the most amazing stuff from those backgrounds. We just want to be people of impact and purpose. And you definitely want to be compensated for your work.
You do.
Yeah. Do we have some giveaways to talk about? Have we reached that point?
No, we're about to though. One more thing I did want to talk about though. So, hey, have you ever, went after something and all of a sudden, I mean, you were in it for a good while, and all of a sudden you were just like, okay, I'm tired of this.
Mm-hmm.
Or, on another hand, it could be something came up in your life when you weren't able to actually finish it, right? Could be a sickness, death in the family, whatever it could be, and so something like that has happened to me. We were talking about degrees and all of that. So years ago, somebody say years ago? Years ago, I had started my doctorate, and it was after I was sick. And the Lord spoke to me. The Lord was just like, hey, you need to just go ahead and go out and get your, your terminal degree, basically. And so I was like, all right, you sure?
Like, who gonna do this homework for these classes, Lord?
Right. I thought I was finished out of the master's. Like, whew, that was hard by itself. I was tired. And so what I found with that, even, talking with friends and having that circle that really holds up your arms, those errant hairs that holds up your arms when you need that assistance, was very helpful. Mm-hmm. And I did not finish my degree, and yet, yeah. So it's coming. But have you ever been there? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, have you ever just worked on something and then you just had to quit? Not necessarily quit for some people, but some things just happen. If you have been there, put that in the chat. Like, yeah, that's me.
Raise your hand in the chat.
That's me.
Thumbs up or something.
That has happened to me, or 100, whatever you want to put. Because seriously, things like that that happen, I think sometimes is like a, what would you call it? It's just a moment to just kind of, I think, maybe to think and to reevaluate.
Selah.
A Selah is a rest moment where you're just like, okay, it's that quiet moment.
And I think it's important to mention, and we're not going to harp on this because she's here and healed, but she was going through a sickness. So just one hurdle after the next, but hurdles are meant to be leaped over.
Absolutely.
So you keep running. You understand what I'm saying? So you stay in the game, and it's not about the sport. It's about life. It's about you.
Yeah.
It's about, again, you're constantly running toward your purpose. And I'm pretty sure for a well-known individual like yourself, Mika, that messed with your mind a little bit here and there.
It did. It did. I felt defeated. And defeated in the sickness at one point as well. I felt defeated. And then I had God talking to me different times, it's like, come on, pull you out of this. But I also had these imps and all these other things talk to me like, you're gonna die. You're gonna, it was literally that live, that raw and in your face. And I'm sure some of you've had that moment where you just like, what is going on? You see that picture all the time where you have the devil over here and you have like an angel over here. And so it's like this battle going on, and I'm in my sick bed and I'm like, Lord, please help. Help me with this. And I'm talking to him and I'm calling the Lord Jesus' name. I'm sorry for those that, do not know him as Jesus, but this right here, this is all about, praising our God and Savior, our Lord, and calling him for who he is. And so if this is not for you, I'm quite stay with us. You're gonna get on the train on the porch, like I said earlier, sooner or later. Right. And so basically what I'm saying with that is, although, obstacles come, make sure that you try to push on, you try again, you look again, you make that pivot, whatever it is, do that, and do it with purpose. Understand that there's an ultimate goal behind it. I'm going after my doctorate. I'm a finish. Y'all, I have maybe a year. So come on, somebody in the chat. Come on, let's go. We going because I'm serious. It's been, life has been, and some of that, and I know you all hear me on that, but sometimes, although you have all this stuff going on, even when you're thinking about doing that and that comes in, you just got to grab it by the horns and just kind of go with it. And so I'm going to go with that, hopefully before the end of the year. That is the goal of mine, to get that started with that. I definitely have to look into a few other things before I get started again, but yeah, I'm gonna do it. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
She done missed it. What we do in our areas and different areas that we're in.
Yeah.
For us, we may not use the word ministry, but that's what we do. We're pouring out the gifts that we've been given and trying to perfect and trying to figure out what's next. And not, again, so we can get ahead of someone else, but so we can continue to move forward in life and be in place so that we can pass the baton to someone else if we're running the race and they can continue. You just want to continue. You want to finish.
Yes.
You want to finish strong. And please don't compare your race to someone else.
Please, no. Don't do that.
Sometimes we all do that. I've done it. Like, it's innocent comparison, but it's still comparison. Yeah. It's still feeling.
Yes.
In that Jonathan Reynolds.
It is. I was there with you. I was like, Jonathan.
But yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, folks.
We hope you guys are.
No, that's it.
We hope you guys feel like you want more for yourself.
Yeah.
And we definitely want you to want to hear from us more. Yeah, so we give away, so we want to do a few giveaways for Stay in the Game with Micaela Morris LLC.
Yeah.
Do you want to just mention 3 things that they can do, or I can just throw it out there if you want?
Yeah, go ahead, go with
Okay.
it.
So we want you to be able to tell us one takeaway that you gain from this discussion.
Mhm.
We want you to be able to put your name in the chat and tell us where you're from. That's 2. Let's see what the third one might be. And you're going to email this to us. You're not going to necessarily put it in the chat. So, that's the third thing. So the first person to email me your name and takeaway, and of course you send an email, you will receive an individual session from me, 60-minute individual session. And so you have the 3 options to choose from, which would be the game of life, which targets, who you are, the battle within, which, focuses on what's weighing on you. And then the third one would be adjust your focus. So we're focusing on purpose. So you have 3 different options for your individual session, depending on where you find yourself at in life. And then, but wait, there's more. So I was featured in a magazine, Significance in Athletics and Sports, by Monique Smith, and I wrote an article. And so I would also gift that article to you. Should you send me your takeaway from today and where you're from, and you would email that to let's stay in the game at gmail.com. So and this stay STAY in the letter N, the game at gmail.com. Okay.
Good.
Okay.
I love that. I love that. Come on here. I love a good gift. Because it's the gift that keeps what? Giving. Yes. Hey, it still gives. Yes. All right. So for myself, for Micaela Morris LLC, what I plan on doing is doing a gift combo pack where it's like Deliberate Voices book, and then it's a discovery session for 1 hour. Yes, for 1 whole hour. And you get a jam pack full of stuff in that 1 hour. So we'll do it'll be like an email that comes out or whatnot. And so with that, you'll let me know what you got going on, and then we'll have that discovery session. So it's the 3 sessions or whatnot is women in leadership coaching. So that area, career focused training, or confidence and mindset. So any of those areas, we'll make sure we put that down below as well, so that you can understand what she's giving, what I'm giving, and the different things you have to do, because you also need to like our pages.